Hi, I'm Brett PG, and this is Portugal in the Spotlight. To start off with, we're going to show you an image of the country in question. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Portugal, and where exactly its name comes from. Portugal's name derives from the Roman name Portus Cale. Cale was the name of an early settlement located at the mouth of the Douro River, which flows into the Atlantic Ocean in the north of what is now Portugal. Around 200 BC, the Romans took the Iberian Peninsula from the Carthaginians during the Second Punic War, and in the process conquered Cale and renamed it Portus Cale, or Port of Cale. During the Middle Ages, the region around Portus Cale became known as Sueve and Visigoth, and Port of Cal became Portugal. The name Portugal evolved into Portugal during the 7th and 8th century, and by the 9th century, the term was used extensively to refer to the region between the rivers Douro and Minho, the Minho flowing along what would become the northern border between Portugal and Spain. By the 11th and 12th century, Portugal was already referred to as Portugal. Now, for Portugal's site and situation, it is to the left of the big tree, in the middle of the big city, in the middle of the big country, in the small continent. And now for the situation. It is 300 miles to the west of Madrid. Now, I'm going to give you its mathematical location and time zone. The latitude and longitude of Portugal is 39 degrees and 30 seconds, 39 minutes and 30 seconds north, and 8 minutes 0 seconds west, respectively. The time zone is the Western European time zone. Next up, vegetation. Vegetation in Portugal is varied. In the mountains, on the high plateaus in the north, the most common trees are the birch, the chestnut, the oak, and the maple. Vegetation mainly consists of thorn bushes, heather, and fern. In the south, one can find cork oak, eucalyptus, and olive trees. Interesting fact, 30% of the world's cork comes from Portugal. They are the world's biggest producer. So next time you say put a cork in it, think Portugal. Next up, the soil. The soil of Portugal is arid, acidic, and sandy in the north, and in the south, it is often rocky. Now for landforms and environmental considerations. The Azores, a Portuguese archipelago in the Atlantic Ocean, west of Lisbon, are one example of landforms that are admired throughout the world that are in Portugal. Now for environmental considerations. They are very environmentally active, preserving many forests that have been in their nation for countless years, and creating new solar power plants that are revolutionizing the industry. Next up is density, concentration, and patterns. 44 people per square mile live in Portugal, which is a very low number when compared to the rest of the world. Next up, let's show you an image of the concentration of Portugal as it stands now. Next up is the pattern. Again, namely Roman Catholic Portuguese-born citizens are the pattern for most of Portugal. However, a large portion of Brazilians do live in the major cities along the southern coast. Now for ethnic and gender issues. Portugal has made great strides in equality to all, with anti-discrimination laws and gay marriage rights being the 8th country in the world to pass them, though they still have not passed any allowing for gay adoption. Now, gender. There is an influence of traditional Latin perspectives on the male and female roles in society, so that social status is still in part related to biological sex. Nevertheless, some significant changes have been occurring in recent years. Traditionally, women were expected to have a passive role in society, although generally assuming a leading position at home, taking care of children, and in many cases, being responsible for the management of the domestic economy. The male was the decision maker in what concerned major issues at the community level and the main provider of financial maintenance for the household. Though equality has recently been created among sexes, it still has the inkling of this from their past. Next up, you CBR, CVR, NIR, TFR, and IMR. First up, the CBR, which is 10.29. Now, the CVR, which is 10.56, slightly higher than the birth rate. Now, for the NIR, which is 3.31. Now, the TFR, which is 1.49, and the IMR, which is 4.92. Now it is time for, hold on a moment. Breaking news. Portugal has just moved into the 4th demographic stage. In this stage, the birth rate and the death rate become almost equal, though in Portugal the death rate is slightly higher than the birth rate. This has certainly marked a turning point in Portugal's history. Maybe we will see them be the first country to move into the 5th demographic stage, which has not yet been confirmed as existing. Moving on, we have the population pyramid and the sex ratio. First off, we'll show you an image of what exactly the population pyramid of Portugal is looking like. You see that they are equal on most areas. However, once women reach the age of 80, they begin to outlast the male population. Could this serve as a disastrous plot for the future of the male race? Or could it just mean that women eat healthier and live better lives? We'll find out soon enough. Now for the sex ratio. At birth, the number of male to female ratio is 1.07, leaving males with a higher population percentage. At 15 years old, it is 1.092, leaving males again with a higher population percentage. From 15 to 64 years old, it goes to 0.986. Females are now at the higher percentage. 65 and over, 0.701 is the discrepancy, again having females at a higher rate. Of the total population, it is 0.946, again leaving females at a higher rate as of 2007. Now, before I leave you, I would like to leave you with an image of one of Portugal's greatest rising stars and one of their future icons. This masterful play by the world's greatest, Cristiano Ronaldo. I'd also like to give a special thanks out to my cameraman and video editor, Michael Cyberling. And with that, this is Brett Peachy, signing off.